I never knew my dad was dangerous until the day of our special trip. I was 10, and he picked me up from school with a surprise. We were going to Disney World, just me and him. I was so excited, I didn't think twice when he said not to tell Mom. He seemed different that day. Actually nice, buying me ice cream and letting me pick music in the car. But instead of going to the airport, we drove for hours. When I asked about Disney, he just said it was a surprise route. The motels got worse each night. My dad kept changing his phone, and I wasn't allowed to use it. After a week, I noticed we were living in a dirty apartment, and Disney was never mentioned again. I started having nightmares, but I was too scared to tell him I wanted to go home. One morning, while he was sleeping, I snuck to the apartment office to use their phone. I remembered Mom's number by heart. She made me practice it every day. My hands were shaking as I pressed the buttons. But before I could finish dialing, Dad burst in, face red with anger. That's when a maintenance worker saw my dad grabbing my arm. She must have noticed something wrong because minutes later, police cars surrounded the building. Turns out Mom had been searching for weeks. Dad had lost custody, and this was his scary plan to keep me forever. Now I'm back home with Mom, and Dad's in jail. But I'll never forget how a fun Disney trip turned into the scariest month of my life. Sometimes I still wake up thinking I'm back in that dirty apartment.
How did you trick your entire high school? Our high school newspaper was completely dysfunctional. Not the writing, but the oversight. Articles went straight from student editors to printing with zero verification. My friend Jake and I discovered this power by accident when we jokingly submitted a satirical article about the cafeteria serving gourmet French cuisine next week and watched in disbelief as it appeared on the front page. That's when we hatched our plan. Operation Celebrity Visit. We crafted an elaborate article announcing that a famous musician who'd grown up in our town was returning for a special assembly to discuss his career path. We included realistic details, the 2 p.m. assembly time, limited seating, bring questions for the Q&A. With trembling hands, we submitted it to the newspaper Dropbox. Sure enough, the edition came out. Special assembly. This Friday, celebrity musician returns. We figured a teacher would immediately question it. None did. By Wednesday, our music teacher was preparing student performances to showcase. By Thursday, the auditorium manager was arranging special seating. We were in too deep to confess. Friday afternoon, 500 students packed the auditorium with notebooks and phones for autographs. Several teachers showed up with prepared introduction speeches. The moment of truth arrived when our principal walked in looking confused, asking who coordinated with the musicians' management team. Students looked at teachers looked at administration, the AV club who'd set up special lighting looked at everyone. Then the back door opened, and our vice principal walked in with someone, the actual musician. Turns out he really was in town visiting family, and she'd reached out on a whim after seeing the article. We spent the assembly listening to an amazing impromptu talk, while various administrators each assumed someone else had originally organized it. How far will you go for your dog? I never thought I'd become the person everyone whispered about in town, but when someone threatens what you love, you discover who you really are. My German Shepherd, Apollo, was a rescue with scars running down his back from his previous owner. He'd been found chained to a tree during a snowstorm, half-starved and terrified. The shelter said he might never trust humans again. For 3 months, I slept on the kitchen floor next to his bed. He'd growl when I got too close, but I kept talking to him, reading books aloud so he'd get used to my voice. The first time he rested his head on my lap, I cried. By spring, Apollo was a different dog. Playful, protective, my shadow everywhere I went. That's when Mr. Harmon moved in next door. He was on the town council and made it clear from day one that he hated Apollo. That beast shouldn't be allowed in this neighborhood, he'd say loudly whenever we walked past. I ignored him until the day I found raw meat laced with antifreeze tossed over my fence. The vet pumped Apollo's stomach just in time. When I confronted Harmon, he smiled. Prove it was me. I installed security cameras that night. A week later, they caught him spraying something through my fence. The police said they couldn't do anything without evidence Apollo was his target. They called it a neighbor dispute. Then Harmon started pushing for a dangerous breed ordinance at council meetings. That woman's dog is a menace, he'd say, pointing at pictures of Apollo playing in my yard. What if he attacks a child next? I attended every meeting, bringing Apollo's training certificates, vet records, even neighbors who vouched for him. But Harmon had connections. The ordinance passed 4-3. I had 30 days before they could take Apollo. I contacted 17 landlords in neighboring towns. None would accept a German Shepherd. I couldn't afford to buy property, not after spending my savings on Apollo's emergency vet bills. With 2 days left, Harmon smiled from his porch as animal control measured my fence height. Should have gotten rid of that monster when I first warned you. That night, I loaded Apollo into my car with everything we could fit. I left my job, my house, my hometown, everything I'd spent 15 years building. We drove 800 miles to my cousin's farm. She let us stay in her guest cabin while I found work at the local diner. The tips were lousy, but Apollo had 5 acres to run free. No fences, no Harmon, no fear. 6 months later, I received a certified letter. Harmon had died, and the ordinance was being repealed after evidence emerged that he'd falsified attack reports. My old boss offered my job back. My house was still on the market. I could return to my life. But watching Apollo race through the fields, fearless and happy for the first time, I knew we weren't going anywhere. What happened at a wedding that made you realize it was doomed from the start? My brother's wedding seemed picture perfect. Beautiful venue, perfect weather, and a bride who our parents adored. Ryan and Megan had dated for 3 years, but something always felt off. The red flags were subtle. She'd text constantly when her cousin visited. She'd get defensive when asked about her family history, and she'd make uncomfortable comments about Ryan's family wealth. But Ryan was 34 and ready to settle down, so he ignored it all. During the reception, I went to grab Ryan's gift from my car. Walking back through the garden, I overheard Megan behind the hedges. "Just 8 more months until his trust fund vests," she whispered. "Then we're free, Jasper." Her cousin Jasper replied, "5 years of planning finally paying off." I didn't cause a scene. I waited for the father-daughter dance to end, then told Ryan everything. His face showed only resignation. He returned to the reception, took the microphone and said, "The Bali honeymoon is non-refundable. Megan, I think you and Jasper will enjoy it more than we would." The room went silent. Megan stammered, "He's my cousin, don't be ridiculous." Ryan calmly replied, "Cousins don't usually kiss the way you two did in the garden." He walked out with our family following. No drama, just quiet dignity. We later learned Jasper wasn't related to her at all. They'd been together for years before she even met Ryan.
I thought my 6-year-old daughter was obsessed with eating people until I discovered the truth that made me laugh for days. I was folding laundry when I found her tablet open to some disturbing searches: how to cook humans, where to find fresh humans, and best humans to eat. My heart nearly stopped. As I scrolled, more searches appeared: soft humans, crunchy humans, sweet humans with sprinkles, how to make humans taste better, and can I keep humans in the freezer? I started panicking, my hands shaking. Should I call a child psychologist? Was my sweet little girl who still slept with her stuffed unicorn secretly planning something horrifying? I spent the day watching her play, trying to figure out how to approach this situation. That evening, I nervously took her to the grocery store, hoping the casual environment would help me bring it up. My daughter skipped along beside me, humming her favorite cartoon song, while I rehearsed different ways to start this conversation. In the baking aisle, she suddenly squealed with excitement. "Daddy, look! It's the humans I've been searching for everywhere!" She pointed straight at the gingerbread human display. Rows of cookie-cutting shapes, decorating kits, and pre-made gingerbread humans in festive boxes. She'd been looking up gingerbread cookie recipes for her school bake sale this whole time. I hugged her tight and bought her the biggest cookie decorating kit, plus extra sprinkles and icing. Now whenever she announces she's hungry for humans, I just smile and remind myself to check the full context before panicking.